Seriously, no matter how carefully you think you style your hair, or in my case, pretty much just leave it alone, you always have something that's like, before I started the video, there was like one of my hairs like sticking up like this. I'm like, I didn't really do anything, really. But, yeah. So, yesterday was quite unexpected. I gotta say, like, really unexpected. I mean, well, foremost, happy Sunday, everybody. Second of all, so what did we learn? Well, for me, when it comes to the Buffalo Bills, they really will go as far as Josh Allen. And man, they were close last night. Unfortunately, I am worried that Josh Allen is going to fall into that sort of realm of quarterback like, a Case Keenum where he's very much above average. And therefore, the farther ahead they'll get, the better he'll play. Well, unfortunately, the one thing that could go wrong in that scenario did for Buffalo. Buffalo let them get ahead. Buffalo let them catch up. And then we have overtime. And, I've said this many times. I'm not a Bills fan. I live in upstate New York. If you're not even remotely involved with the city, then you're practically nothing in comparison. Oh, don't look at me like that. That's pretty much how it always is. Again, I live in the state of New York, upstate New York. You have the city where you have the Jets and the Giants, and, anywhere else you just have the Buffalo Bills. So it's really either the Jets and the Giants or the Bills. There is the third option, which is nothing. But, yeah. So, again, I'm not a Bills fan, but, I do have a soft spot for him. I do. Again, and I said this yesterday, as well as several other times in the past, they've been to the Super Bowl 4 times in a row and haven't won one. And never won it. And, sadly, that is going to have to continue to be a thing. It also bums me out because I said yesterday that if I was going based on preference of what I legitimately wanted to see above all else, I would have liked to have seen a Vikings-Bills Super Bowl. Sadly, though, that's, again, not going to happen. The Vikings are obviously still in, even though they haven't really played yet. But they're going to the Superdome. Yes, they beat the Saints in the playoffs last time, but the Vikings were home. And even then, it took nothing short of a miracle to do it. Quite literally, actually. Man, I still remember them. Seriously, sometimes, whenever I feel like it, I will rewatch the Minneapolis Miracle just because of everything that was transpiring through it all. I still remember watching it I was actually watching it with my father, and we both just are like, wow. Although, the one thing that stuck out to me is Stephon Diggs going, you can't really see, but my arms are like all spread out, like Stephon Diggs. But, yeah, that was a wild ride. Sadly, even though the Vikings are really starting to come into their own, they're not beating the Saints in the Superdome. So, yeah, you can call that my pick right now. The Saints are beating the Vikings this afternoon. Sorry, Vikings fans. Maybe miracles can happen more than once. It's possible. And I'd like to be optimistic for the underdog, sure. But it's not really looking the greatest. So, yeah. Honestly, the one Super Bowl matchup I really would have wanted to see above all others, at least in terms of personal preference, that it can't possibly happen now. because the Bills are out. Speaking of teams from the AFC East, so much for number one happening as well, huh? So there is no rematch of Super Bowl 49. There is no possible rematch of Super Bowl 49. There is no possible rematch of Super Bowl 52. There is no Brady versus Breeze. There is no Brady versus Rodgers. There is no Brady versus Garoppolo. And we won't know if the Vikings would ever get their Super Bowl victory over the Patriots. Because the Patriots are out. Man. Yesterday was quite a day. I mean, the only solace it's actually funny. I was watching a video yesterday about, each team that's in the playoffs right now. And the guy said about Tennessee, if you guys beat the Patriots, you're going to get a lot of people to like you. Well, here's hoping that actually works. So, yeah, the Titans are in. To be perfectly honest, I do have a soft spot for the Titans, and not because they literally lost by 1 yard in the one Super Bowl that they were in. But honestly, I started paying attention to the Titans, believe it or not, when I was at Trinity Poly. See, the year I was at... Let me stand up straight a little bit. Felt like I was slouching a little. The year I was at Trinity Poly, that was actually the year that the Titans went 7-0 to start off the season. They were pretty hot. And then they didn't really do anything afterwards. Yep. For those of you guys who are wondering, it was the Cardinals-Steelers Super Bowl, a.k.a. the Super Bowl that the Cardinals really should have won, and Larry Fitzgerald would finally have his Super Bowl ring. Well. I love you, Larry. We all do. Seriously, who doesn't love Larry Fitzgerald? He's like the coolest guy ever. I just said it like I personally... Larry Fitzgerald doesn't know who I am, but, I do love what he stands for. I do love his personality, and honestly, he's going to leave the NFL in better shape than when he arrived, if this is his final season. So, thank you, Larry Fitzgerald. You will forever be the man. Everyone's going to say, oh, yeah, he was great, but he wasn't Jerry Rice. You know what? I say this on you. Jerry Rice may be the GOAT, but if there was ever a second coming of the GOAT, I give it to Larry. Okay? I'm just saying. Yeah. So, well, I ranted on about that a little too much, didn't I? Let's see. So, the Titans are in and the Patriots are out. Is the dynasty over? Possibly. There is tension in the Patriots organization. This loss could potentially collapse them completely. I was watching Undisputed the other day, and they're going over, since they fired Jason Garrett for the Cowboys, who the next coach of the Cowboys should be. And Skip Bayless quite possibly had said the greatest hypothetical ever. If the Titans game goes south for the Patriots, which it clearly has, someone's going to get fired from it. And if it's Belichick, why not Belichick come for the Cowboys? Oh, don't get me wrong. I know for a fact it's never going to happen. No way. You would need nothing short of an act of God to make that happen. I'm being serious. With that said, I do love how Shannon Sharp said, if Bill Belichick ever coached the Dallas Cowboys, it's over. Dallas wins 3 of the next 5 Super Bowls. Come on, Bill Belichick. Or Urban Meyer. One of those two. I'll take one of those two any day of the week. Not Mike McCarthy. Please not Mike McCarthy. Not Josh McDaniels. My goodness, please not Josh McDaniels. So, yeah. Come on, Bill Belichick or Urban Meyer. Come on, Bill Belichick or Urban Meyer. I will take either one. Please. Okay, so, now that I've ranted on long enough about all the sort of bad stuff that happened yesterday, let's move on to my playoff pick, shall we? Technically I already just said one. Yeah, I'm picking the Saints over the Vikings. They're at home. They're in the Superdome. Again, it's going to take nothing short of a miracle once again for the Vikings to beat the Saints in that area, on that football field. And unfortunately, they're not in Minneapolis, so it's looking really dicey to say the least. And now we have the other game that's today. That's the Seahawks versus the Eagles. Now, I've made this no secret in the past that while I dislike the entirety of the Eagles organization as a whole, there are some things I do like. I like Carson Wentz. I like Zach Ertz. I like Lane Johnson. And even though there was that stint where Jason Kelsey made fun of the Cowboys, he got his comeuppance later, so we're good. That being said, though, if we weren't doing the whole division, each divisional winner has to make the playoffs, the Seahawks would be the 4th seed. And quite frankly, even though Lincoln Financial Field, that's the stadium where the Philadelphia Eagles play, by the way, had a roof, the Seahawks would blow it off. That's how much I know for a fact the Seahawks are beating the Eagles. Yes, I know both teams are riddled with injuries, but you know what? Outside of Lamar Jackson, I would pick Russell Wilson as the MVP. He's been playing like that all year. He's come in clutch so many times. He has proven time and time again to be a top 5 quarterback. Heck, maybe even top 3. So, you know what? I'm picking the Seahawks over the Eagles. Plus, when you think about it, it does fulfill one of the Super Bowl matchups I wanted to see. The Seahawks versus the Chiefs, the Texans, or the Ravens. Because, again, it would be the first time in history that a Super Bowl took place in which both starting QBs were of African descent. And considering that the Super Bowl is on February 2nd, which is Black History Month, what better way to kick it off? Again, I'm very thankful we live in much, much, much better times. Because, again, for the longest time, the positions of a quarterback, middle linebacker, and center were predominantly, white guys. Unfortunately, people were ignorant. People were stupid. They were racist. They were. It was really bad times. I'm just glad that, thankfully, as time progressed, we had the likes of Willie Rainier and Doug Williams to sort of break through that mold, which led into great other, people like, Mike Singletary. And one of my all-time heroes, Ray Lewis. So, and Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, he falls in that category too. So, yeah, very much thankful we live in better times. And obviously, I was going to say may we never have problems like that ever again. And it's very likely that we won't. But it's nice, but it is good that, we do know these things. So we learn from them. Because as the saying goes, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. I guess before I go, now that I have a sort of clear idea of who's in the playoffs right now, even though it's only been one day, of the Super Bowl matchups I want to see, and of what I've been seeing the pundits say, I really do think, and it wouldn't surprise me at all, if, believe it or not, the Super Bowl ended up being the Saints and the Chiefs. The Super Bowl that we should have gotten a year ago. But better late than never. Actually, I was watching a TPS, and they were doing their own playoff bracket. And they were talking how each team is gonna win and what's gonna happen, right? Well, the final game ended up being the Chiefs and the Saints. Honestly, again, it's the Super Bowl matchup we should have gotten a year ago. So, TPS made this bold prediction as to who wins. Well, the way I see it, and I do kind of have to agree. I'm not saying that this is my pick, mind you. I'm just saying I do see where they're coming from. And that is Patrick Mahomes. This is only his 3rd year. He's young. He's going to have, opportunities to win the Super Bowl for years to come. Meanwhile, you have the Saints, who, honestly, they feel like it's a team of destiny. After 2 very crushing playoff losses, this is the year the Saints get their win. So TPS picked the Saints to win with Drew Brees being Super Bowl MVP. I mean, I don't know if that's what I would pick necessarily. In fact, to be perfectly honest, without my Cowboys in there, I really don't know who's going to win. But it's going to be fun to watch, nonetheless. Like, favorite, share, hit that subscribe button, follow me on social media platforms, turn on notifications on YouTube. I am very humbled I made this video for all of you guys watching. Enjoy for today. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Sunday. Remember, if you guys want to talk, channel is going to be here to lend you ear. And I'll always have your back. Take care and make good choices. And man, I was worried I'd run out of memory in this video because I forgot to empty my storage. I'm going to do that now. See ya.